existence. Why? Some would say that we are in service of a higher being.
There is no God.
Others say the meaning of life is
42.
Rick and Morty has another answer.
Oh, baby.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is ice cream. Yeah, really.
Ice cream street, baby! Eating that ice cream! Slurping it up!
I know this sounds ridiculous.
Oh my god. Did your mom write that joke?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Smurflop. I was accidentally beamed in here from another multiverse. Very, very far away.
And you're just gonna be hanging out in the studio while I record this?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I can't really figure out a way to get back. I don't know, this could be fun.
Great.
Roll on, baby.
Ice cream is a popular dessert, so it shows up everywhere, right? But after hours and hours of painstaking research, binging a lot of TV.
What'd you do that for?
Dramatic effect.
I've used science to determine why Rick and Morty may hold the secret you've been seeking your whole life. Today I'll be examining Rick and Morty to see once and for all, does anything even matter? This is The Breakdown. If you haven't watched the show at this point, don't stop this video. Watch the show after this video. Rick and Morty follows the exploits of
Hey, quick question. Where do you watch it?
Are you kidding me? Are you gonna do this the whole time?
Sorry, I'll listen patiently.
The show follows the exploits of super genius Rick and his family. Beth.
Whoa, Beth is a stone cold hottie.
Okay. Her husband Jerry, Morty, and Summer. Rick and Morty, and sometimes Summer, embark on high-concept sci-fi rigmarole. They get into all sorts of pickles, sometimes literally. They regularly interact with the infinite versions of themselves in the multiverse. Rick has created clones of himself and family members. He has erased memories and had fake memories implanted in him. Rick has been trapped in a simulation, inside of a simulation, inside of another simulation. The very nature of an objective reality in the show is suspect, and as such, it may seem difficult to conclude that life has any sort of meaning.
Oxygen-rich atmosphere, giant testicle monsters. We'll be fine, let's party!
Famed absurdist philosopher and second youngest Nobel recipient Albert Camus says that life is absurd because it has no meaning. Yet humans are cursed with searching for meaning.
Life is effort and I'll stop when I die.
Camus also said there is only one really serious philosophical problem, and that's suicide. Whether or not life is worth living is to answer the fundamental question in philosophy. All other questions follow from that, which essentially means, is a meaningless life worth living? Rick, the existential nihilist, is still alive, so for him, so far, life is worth it.
You got that right.
I posit that for Rick, and by extension, the show, the quote-unquote meaning of life is...
Ice cream. Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Ice cream.
So why ice cream?
First, we should see if there is even that much ice cream in Rick and Morty. I mapped several TV shows, both drama and comedy, animated and live action, and how many episodes contain ice cream. Rules of my experiment. The ice cream can be depicted or mentioned, and it has to be real ice cream, not popsicles or froyo, which I'm sure we can all agree is fake ice cream that you can off. Also, pudding pops. See yourself away. That's pretty much it. Lo and behold, high above all the others is Rick and Morty.
Soak it in.
In fact, no single season of another show is above the 3-season average. Of all food items in Rick and Morty, ice cream is, by far, found in the most episodes. There is definitely a lot of ice cream, but it's moments like this from the season finale of season 2 that made me realize it had to mean something.
You're not leaving, right?
Yeah, I am. To get ice cream.
So you're coming back?
Morty, if you go to where there's a bunch of ice cream and then you don't come back, you haven't actually gotten ice cream. You've just gone where ice cream is.
Ice cream has almost a divine presence in the show. It is almost exclusively shown in groups of 3, like the Holy Trinity. The literal devil belittles the notion of a consolatory cone.
I'm the devil. What should I do when I fail? Give myself an ice cream?
Rick sees himself like a god, and Jerry as the enemy trying to lead Rick's offspring away. Jerry made a campaign slogan, "Hungry for apples?" Clearly a reference to the Garden of Eden. Jerry gets poisoned by Rick's carton of Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia. By the way, Beth and Jerry, Ben & Jerry's.
Sizzle.
I'm Ben.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But an ice cream a day leads to diabetes.
Apples are the opposite of ice cream. Rick is the opposite of Jerry. It's all tightly connected. Ice cream isn't just literal ice cream. Ice cream is a concept, a metaphor. It is a manifestation of happiness. Ice cream saves Beth and Jerry's marriage.
Wow. Oh, geez. Well, that's a bummer.
Jerry, this was the most romantic weekend I've ever had.
Thanks to Cold Stone Creamery.
Robot Morty wants to eat ice cream to be a real person.
I want to taste ice cream, but not just put it in my mouth and let it slide down my throat, but really eat it.
Rick is arrogant and has an ego that could fill a multiverse. There is only one other person's intellect that he has shown respect for. When Dr. Xenon Bloom feared he would die when facing looming oblivion, he spent his time scarfing down ice cream. And those who are against ice cream, against happiness, are evil, which is best exemplified by Rick and Summer's revenge spree. They beat up the devil, a neo-Nazi,
Back in 2013, when it was uncontroversial to punch a Nazi.
an animal abuser, and a Westboro Baptist Church member. Included in this despicable bunch is a schoolyard bully. That bully shoves a blissful child's ice cream into his face, distorting the notion of ice cream, reminiscent of something from Dante's Divine Comedy. For Rick, that is a crime that cannot go unpunished. That clip I played earlier, this one,
If you go to where there's a bunch of ice cream and then you don't come back, you haven't actually gotten ice cream. You've just gone where ice cream is.
with this new framing, you can see how powerful this metaphor is.
Oh my god! You just exploded my alien brain. And here's the thing about my brain is it takes up my whole body. It's a huge brain.
Rick and his family are fugitives, stuck on a tiny planet with no ice cream. He decides to turn himself in to save his family. Instead of just going to where ice cream is, being happy by himself, he goes to get ice cream for the rest of the family, enabling them to go to the one place in the multiverse with ice cream, Earth, where they can be happy. Because the meaning of life is to be happy, but the tragedy of it all is that happiness is fleeting, Rick's journey is closely tied to ice cream, or to be more precise, the lack thereof.
What are you in for? Everything.
A pivotal episode is midway through season 2, The Ricks Must Be Crazy. Rick takes his grandkids to an alternate Earth, which has the best ice cream in the multiverse, but it also has giant telepathic spiders and 11 9/11s. Some would say that this is a heavy price to pay for the best ice cream, but for Rick, the good outweighs the bad. By the end of the episode, human spider peace is brokered, resulting in this tragic moment.
Ew, what the hell? Jesus, there's flies in my ice cream.
Presidential decree. All ice cream is now for all beings.
Poignantly, this episode is followed by one of 2 episodes devoid of ice cream in season 2. Rick puts himself in a clone of a younger body, trying to escape the march of Time's arrow. Rick can science anything except travel back in time. Creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland have mentioned in interviews that time travel will not be a part of the show. With an infinite multiverse, how can there be a best of anything? But there is a single best ice cream, or at least there was. It's gone now, lost forever. That impact is felt throughout the rest of the series. Rick starts the series as a dickish, mad scientist, and by season 3 is an evil scientist fueled by vengeance and anger. Rick is crueler, and the show itself, bloodier. Before The Ricks Must Be Crazy, there are 10 episodes with ice cream. Afterwards, there are only 5. 3 of those times, it's only mentioned. As for the 2 times they're depicted, one is Gear ice cream on the Gear planet, not edible for humans, and the other is, well, this.
Peanut butter and jelly. Vanilla. Chocolate.
Despite visiting a new alien world almost every episode, the only other instance of non-Earth ice cream is on Unity's planet, which is a utopia. There is not a single frame of normal, delicious, wholesome ice cream after this devastating moment. The message is clear. Happiness in the multiverse is scarce and fleeting. Season 3 is the darkest of the seasons, and the lack of ice cream reflects that perfectly. All of Rick's deep-rooted cynicism, nihilism, depression, and anger can be explained by his knowledge that, just like the best ice cream in the multiverse, on the finite central curve, the fate of all ice cream is to vanish, like the heat death of the universe. And Rick does put up a strong front, despite knowing what the meaning of life is, ice cream, but that it's always running away from him. He often resorts to space drugs, alcohol, and parties to escape his meaninglessness.
Why do you party?
To get riggedy wrecked, son!
But who's to say his flask isn't filled with drinkable, not melted, but drinkable, ice cream? taking tiny sips of liquid happiness to ease the pain of existence. What booze would make him drool that pale green color? None that I know of. But you know what would? Mint ice cream. I know a lot of you are probably wondering, what about Szechuan sauce? For those of you out of the loop, in the season 3 premiere, Rick says,
That's what this is all about, Morty. I'm not driven by avenging my dead family, Morty. That was fake. I'm driven by finding that tipping sauce, Szechuan sauce, Morty. That's what's gonna take us all the way to the end, Morty.
To put it bluntly, I don't buy it. There just isn't any evidence to support it. Szechuan sauce isn't mentioned before or after. Rick is a well-documented liar and has a penchant for breaking the fourth wall. For me, it is obviously a fake out to the audience. I believe the alleged fake memory is actually real, or at least real adjacent. The galactic government interrogator says it's impossible to fake memories in the Brainalyzer, but impossible rarely means anything to Rick.
I admire you, Rick.
The memory in question fits perfectly with all the other ice creamness of the show.
Well, why don't I get Beth and we'll go out for ice cream?
That, Diane, is the last great idea that will ever be had in this garage.
He is going to take his wife and daughter to get ice cream before losing them. Rick looks on, distraught, seeing himself as the naive younger man, believing in lasting happiness before it's taken away from him. At the end of season 3, Jerry is happily back together with Beth.
Well, this is my least favorite part of the essay.
Despite Rick's season-long effort to get rid of him, Rick has burned all the bridges with the rest of his family and is given a choice to leave. He decides to stay. Why? Because he knows how devoid of ice cream the rest of the multiverse is. The good outweighs the bad. The final shot is of him looking on, disgusted, as his foolish family eats Panda Express, of all things. In this moment, I recall Dr. Bloom, the only other person that Rick considers a genius.
Oh man, what is that horrible smell?
You mean the Panda Express?
So, after all that research, all that binging, all that sciencing, you may have already guessed it. The meaning to life? Why are we here? What does it mean? None of that matters. Life has no meaning.
Those people. This whole thing, Ethan.
So be thankful to be living on Earth.
Cool.
This video essay is especially a complete waste of your time.
Unless, of course, you're eating ice cream while watching this video. In that case, not a complete waste of time.
Wow, Schmarflap, you rock.
It's pronounced Schmarflop.
I'm sorry, Smarflop.
It's Schmarflop.
Thanks for watching. And remember, kids, eat ice cream and be happy.
I'm the eye hole man.
What is going on?
Give me my eye hole.
Oh my God.
Give me my
Alright, y'all, thanks for watching. To close out, never forget this phenomenal quote by 40th President Ronald Q. Reagan. Well, truth through the eyes of a child, freedom of association, freedom of worship, freedom of hope and opportunity, and the pursuit of happiness. In this case, choosing among 200 flavors of ice cream. That's America. And that is a real quote. You can Wikipedia it. And this is The Breakdown.